Mrs. Burton Kelsey.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mrs. Paget.
Here.
Mr. Burke.
Here.
Mrs. Bauer Perry.
Here.
Mrs. Berry.
Here.
Mr. Greathead.
Here.
Mr. Belcher.
Here.
Mr. Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Vespremi.
Here.
Mr. Salah.
Here.
Mr. Satterfield.
Here.
All right, thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item C is approval of the agenda. The suggested motion is to approve the agenda as recommended. I'll entertain a motion.
So move. Support.
Motion by Burke, supported by Harris. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda as recommended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 2 is hearing of the public. This would be for addressing topics that appear on the agenda this evening. Comments are limited to 5 minutes, and a comment card is available on the table and should be presented to Mrs. Aber. Any topics not listed on the agenda will be heard before adjournment. Mrs. Aber, do you have any comment cards at this time? I do not. All right, thank you. Item 3 is the consent agenda. The suggested motion is to approve the consent agenda as recommended. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Harris, supported by Burton Kelsey. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 4 is personnel recommendations. The suggested motion is to approve the following Schedule B employments as recommended. They are Morton Bernstein, freshman football coach, football assistant coach, Corey Farner, 7th grade football assistant coach, Brandon Suchecki, JV football assistant coach, all effective June 23rd, 2021. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Harris, supported by Burton Kelsey. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Mr. Roberts, are any of those individuals here with us this evening? I do not believe any of them. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is our summer learning plan. The Woodhaven-Brownstown School District, for its elementary schools this summer, in partnership with the City of Woodhaven, each of our buildings is hosting a Parks and Recreation program, as opposed to only hosting Parks and Recreation programs at 1 to 2 sites in the past. Woodhaven-Brownstown School District teachers are providing academic enrichment and remediation, as well as social-emotional supports as a rotation in the Children's Day. Today is day 2 of the program. We don't have final numbers, but we currently estimate 600-plus students are participating in that summer Parks and Recreation program. Over 600 students, yeah. We are also running at the elementary level our traditional Think Stretch programs, which includes the Think Stretch workbooks and 5 check-ins scheduled throughout the summer. Additional things that we're working on include trying to put a plan together to have our elementary libraries open for a few hours each week, and also housing on our webpage recommended learning websites. For our secondary schools, we are running 2-week camps, 2-week-long camps, multiple 2-week-long camps for students currently enrolled in grades 6 through 8 that include rotations in STEM, physical education, and social-emotional learning. Students enrolled in grades 6 through 8 can also, 6 through 12, can also enroll in what are called booster courses in English language arts and math. These courses are online and are meant to get students ready and prime them for their next grade or course level of learning next school year. We are also offering our traditional credit recovery programs for students needing credits towards graduation. Does the board have any questions regarding our current offerings of summer learning in the Woodhaven-Brownstown School District?
Can you just tell us where this is online for anybody that wants to delve into it? Is it on our website, our Woodhaven website page?
Yeah, I'm looking at Mr. Satterfield. He'll, yeah.
Yes, it's on the website. If you go to under for parents or even under for students, they're both in two different places, so easy to find. Either tab.
Those passed them out, emailed them out at the end of the school year also to all the parents.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yep.
Yep.
But appreciate the update here too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. All right, item number 6, under business, we have new business, the 2020-21 budget amendment number 3. At this time, I ask Director of Finance Josh Smith to please present for the Board of Education the third budget amendment for the 2020-21 school year.
Good evening. I would like to begin this evening with the final budget amendment for 2021, looking at general fund revenues and expenditures. Revenues are expected for the 2021 year to total $57.5 million. The increase of $602,000 is primarily due to an increase in the local tax collection, which is $177,000. The MIPSers or retirement cost offset, which is $225,000. Voc-Ed tuition of $98,000, and an increase in Act 18 revenues of $155,000. It is anticipated that expenditures for 2021 year will total $56.3 million. The primary factors impacting the reduction in these expenditures from the last amendment is the reclassification of general fund expenditures to COVID grants, over $600,000 in salaries and benefits, $200,000 in substitute costs, and over $600,000 from the operations and maintenance budget. The category that's stated here, it says other, pertains to the internal transfers and how we are accounting for the internal audited set-asides of currently $2.4 million. So that money is there. It looks like a reduction. It's just a change in how it's being accounted for. The budget change factors, this is kind of the story of this school year or this fiscal year. The original budget in June of 2020 reflected a very conservative outlook with much uncertainty due to the pandemic. We assumed a reduction in enrollment of 50 students, as well as a reduction in the per pupil allocation of $450. By the second amendment in December, we were still waiting on our final audited enrollment numbers, but we knew our per pupil allocation would remain the same as the previous school year, which was $8,185. We also had a better idea of federal assistance that could be expected, although we're still awaiting guidance on allowable expenditures for a portion of those COVID funds. For the second amendment in April, we knew what our foundation allowance would be and enrollment numbers, and had a solid grasp on allowable expenditures for the 3 COVID grants that we had already been awarded. With this final amendment, we are expecting a fund balance of $14.4 million, which equates to 25.69% fund equity percentage. After the accumulated set-asides for band uniforms, bus purchases, and technology, the fund balance percentage is 21.39% of expenditures. So this is, I think it's important that we pause here to talk about the COVID grants and how they really gave a relief to our general fund dollars, and how it's a one-time impact to our fund balance this year. On the left, you can see our actual numbers. So these are the actual budget that you'll be asked to approve today. It includes, so that's our actual numbers with the reclassification of those expenditures to the COVID grants. The information on the right shows what total expenditures and fund balance would have looked like if there were no pandemic, so if we had no COVID funds that came in. So of the $2.8 million in COVID grants, nearly $1.9 million of that was used to offset our general fund expenditures. So that would have resulted in a reduction to the fund balance percentage of over 4%. Please bear in mind that these are legacy costs and that they will return to the general fund expenditures at some point over the next couple of years. Now we move into grants. Grant revenues for 2021 are expected to total $8.4 million. The increase of $286,000 is from a state grant that we got May 20th for the Innovative Summer Program, as well as an increase of $148,000 in federal dollars through the IDEA flow-through grant.
Sorry, can I ask a question
Absolutely.
as we go, or do you want me to wait till the end?
Nope, go right ahead.
You said the summer program, is that the one you just referred to? The grant money that Mr.
It
Smith
is.
just discussed? Okay, thank you.
Grant expenditures are also budgeted at 8.4 million, as they must net to zero with the revenues. The increase of 495,000 for salaries and benefits are due to the reclassification of those expenditures from the general fund over to the COVID grant funds, as well as the increase in purchase services, which is the substitute teacher costs. The reduction in capital outlay is for some technology that was originally purchased with COVID grants back in December, but then was reclassified to bond dollars. That was a way to free up some more COVID grant dollars that we could use for salaries and benefits. Now, our non-major funds, here you can see the audited fund balance for each of our non-major funds as of June 30 of 2020. Total revenue, expense in the next columns, and then the final column E for food service fund balance requirements, which states that you can have no more than 3 months worth of your expenditures in a fund balance for the cafe account. The sinking fund balance is 1.3 million, which is prior to the roof work that will be done at BMS and Woodhaven High School this summer. For tote and special revenue funds, they are net to zero annually. And then finally, you can see the accumulated set-aside funds that are set aside during our audit for bus purchases, band uniforms, and technology. These set-asides were approved by the Board of Education 4 years ago in 2018. And then I just wanted to give a snapshot of how we've utilized the COVID grant fund so far this year. $765,000 have been spent on salaries and benefits, $817,000 on purchase services, which are substitute costs, maintenance and operations, the enhanced cleaning that we had with ABM. $908,000 in supplies, and of that 908, 704 was used for PPE for this year, and then $31,000 in capital outlay. So that's how we've taken the approximately $2.8 million that we have been awarded in grant funds and used it for this year. We do have more. You'll see in the projected budget, we do have more monies coming in.
Josh, with the more money coming in for especially for the summer program, can we kind of isolate that and look at our costs? So maybe just as a board, we can look at, because the participation that we're seeing this summer, I mean, it'd be great to see if it was something that we could do going forward when the COVID dollars, disappear.
For sure.
It is unbelievable, the amount of participation and also the number of, our kids that are out there working in, these programs, so,
For sure.
thanks.
Any other questions before we move on?
I just had a question, it's probably in here, but all of the food services that we were able to provide during the pandemic, was that part of the COVID dollars, or did that come out of another fund?
So that, if you look, let me go up a slide. That would be on that top line cafe. It's accounted for, even though it was grant dollars, it's accounted for in our cafe account.
Just so you know, we don't actually see the fund, it's cut off on the screen. So.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not you, it's not your
I
presentation.
wonder if I make it not full screen, can you see it there?
No.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Nope.
change. Okay.
It does
Yeah,
look
that's
like
worse.
so.
Okay. So does that answer your question? Any other questions? Okay. Let me.
The suggested motion then is that the Board of Education approve the 2020-21 budget amendment, amendment number 3, which includes the general fund, the food service fund, the tote fund, the debt fund, the sinking fund, and the capital projects fund as recommended.
So moved.
Support.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, gotta go off
I'm
both.
excited.
So, thank you. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Barry, supported by Harris. Are there any questions?
I'll just speak for the finance team. We have reviewed this previously as a subcommittee before it was brought here. So we have looked at this in depth for several months.
I also want to thank Josh for sending this out to us in advance so that we could clearly understand and communicate with you if there was something that we didn't quite grasp first time through. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All in favor of approving the motion as recommended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Don't go too far, Mr. Smith. Item number 2 is public hearing on the 2021-2022 proposed budget. If any member of the audience or the public would like to speak on the next school year's budget, now would be the opportunity to do so.
Okay,
No, not yet. Hang on.
just excited.
Sorry. All right, seeing none, we will move on to item number 3, which is the 2021-2022 proposed budget covering those funds. Mr. Smith, would you please present to the Board of Education on the proposed budget?
So as we begin the projected budget, we're going to start with giving the requirements for a public hearing. So 1, they must be held before the budget is adopted. 2, requires notice in a local newspaper, which we noticed this meeting on May 26th in the News Herald. Must include language in the resolution stating the number of mills to be levied. And budgets are required for the general fund as well as all non-major funds. Also to explain the expected tax levies for this next fiscal year. For general operating expenditures, we levy 18 mills on non-homestead properties, which we're anticipating a total of $7.3 million in revenue. For the sinking fund, we levy 0.9778 mills on all properties, not just non-homestead, but all properties, which will yield us approximately $1.17 million in the sinking fund revenues. And for the debt retirement fund, we levy 7 mills on all properties for a total of $8.4 million. These are the funds that we use to pay back the bond dollars. So for budget assumptions, for the projected budget, I maintained a very conservative outlook for next year. I'm budgeting for flat enrollment and a per pupil increase of $100. I do, however, anticipate a more substantial increase in the per pupil allocation due to the state of Michigan's school aid fund and general fund having a surplus of over $4.5 million. We do anticipate a
4.5
larger-
billion,
I'm sorry?
isn't it billion?
Is it
With a B.
billion?
Yes,
Yes, did I say something different? Oh, billion, yeah, billion.
Do
sorry.
you know when you'll
Thank you.
find out what that is exactly?
I'm sorry?
Do you know when you'll find out what the state aid is?
The state's budget is set to be settled by September 30th.
Okay.
So realistically, we may not find out till then. We're hopeful that we'll find out sooner. I don't
We'll
know
do a
if
budget
Mark has
amendment
better
at the
information.
end of this calendar year, right, typically?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Regarding expenditures, I budgeted for a 3% increase in salaries, 2% increase in retirement, actual increases in benefits, and an increase in transportation as we transition to national trails for our transportation services. Projected revenues, again, for the purposes of this budget, revenues are projected conservatively to remain flat with the exception of other local. I don't know if it's cut off on your screen, but there's a line item that says other local, and it shows quite a percentage decrease, and that is, an increase. That's because I'm assuming a return of pay-to-play fees and gate fees being collected for athletics. So the total revenues are expected this fiscal year at $57.3 million. A moderate increase in expenditures of 3.9%, that is the bottom right number, if you can see that. There's a 3% increase in salaries and the same in benefits. A big change in capital outlay is from the band shell that was approved in March of 2020. This project was placed on hold because of the pandemic back when it was approved. It was placed into this current year's budget and then removed because we still were not able to have people into the building. And then thankfully, with restrictions that had been lifted this year, they were able to come in and they finished the band shell, I believe, yesterday. So because that was placed into this budget, it looks like there's a decrease going from last year's budget to this current, to the projected budget, but it's just for that band shell. So the total expenditures are budgeted at $58.5 million. So the budget additions, you'll see there's two different sections. There's a general fund and a COVID fund. I just wanted to give a breakdown. The building budget increase under the general fund is $4 per student, which is an overall increase of approximately $22,000, depends on how many we have enrolled. That, just so those of you in the board who may not be aware, that the building budgets have not been increased or changed in, I believe it was 6 to 8 years. So we're just looking at trying to assist them in getting a little bit more money in the buildings for supplies. Benefits coordinator is a personnel addition, which is an increase of 25,000, and an assistant athletic director, which is an increase of 89,000, which is salary and benefits. Now, for the COVID funds, we're looking at additional teaching staff. So assuming a BA Step 1 of the Woodhaven Brownstown Education Association collective bargaining agreement, that would be approximately $87,000 per teacher for the year. And those salaries can be charged to COVID funds. Assistant network manager in our IT area, which would be at a Step 1 as well, which is 89,000 approximately. And a Woodhaven High School IT technician, adding another tech that would be specific to the high school and athletics, at a Step 1 of 79,000. While the budget for 21-22 will have COVID grants to cover these expenditures, it's important that we bear in mind these are legacy costs, which means eventually they will have to be paid from the general fund at some point in the future.
Just Josh, when we say eventually they will have to be paid from the fund, is that in the 22-23 budget?
So right now we have COVID funds in 21-22, so this projected budget that we're speaking of. And then there's the tidings amendment that allows us to use any leftover unused funds to use in 22-23. At this time, that's the latest date is September 30th is the latest time that we can use these funds. Assuming there's no more updated guidance that's given between now and then.
Thank you.
So budget change factors, in the light purple column on the left, I show our audited financial numbers from June 30 of 2020. The column immediately to the right of that shows the final amended budget for this year that we just looked at. And then the column to the right is what I'm projecting for June 30th of 2022. As you can see, the fund balance percentage that is projected is $13,255,000, which is 22.63% of expenditures. After the earmarks for band uniforms, bus purchases, and technology, the fund balance would be 17.47%. And I want to stress that that is if we as a district were to make the decision to use 100% of those funds this year for bus purchases, band uniforms, and technology. And so we use that full amount to make those purchases. It would reduce our fund balance down to 17.47%.
Just the general fund, though, this isn't the COVID dollars.
This is not COVID. This is all general fund dollars.
Thank you.
Can you
And
I have a question real quick. Can you clarify the bus purchases or the bus set-asides? Because we also have new buses in the bond funds, correct?
yes, we have new buses. So the board approved in 2018 to set $200,000 per fiscal year aside. $400,000 per fiscal year aside for bus purchases. So this is kind of a savings account for that. But since we have been fortunate enough to have bond dollars to make those purchases, that money is sitting in the savings. So if we needed to should we have to use general fund dollars as opposed to bond dollars, we have that sitting there. Now, those funds are unrestricted, so should the board decide at some point in the future we need to use those funds elsewhere, they can do so.
Because we wouldn't intend on using the general funds this year for bus purchases, would we?
We do not plan on using that at this time.
Okay.
And there's also set-asides in there for technology and band uniforms, right?
Correct.
Same.
What's that? Moving into grants. The grant revenues are budgeted, it shows down 23%. At the time this budget was prepared, the district is still waiting grant award letters for ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 funds. We're currently expecting to receive nearly $9 million in ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 funds, which will be budgeted and accounted for in this grant fund. For now, I've budgeted $6.5 million in revenue.
And those grant funds are COVID dollars?
So that is, this 6.5 would be at-risk, early literacy, titles 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all budgeted in here, along with COVID dollars.
Okay.
Projected grant expenditures of the 6.5 million in grants, 4.7 million is budgeted for salaries and benefits. The change in materials and supplies is due to PPE and other COVID supplies that were purchased in 2021 school year, but not currently anticipating to purchase such a high quantity of those in this coming school year. And for our non-major funds, we'll be adding to the fund balances in both the cafe and sinking fund. The projected balances are $552,000 and $1.6 million respectively. Tote and special revenues have revenues that match expenditures, therefore do not carry fund balances. And the internal set-asides would add another $605,000 should the board decide to go in that direction, bringing the total accumulated set-asides to $3,025,000. And that is it for our non-major funds. Are there any questions that I can answer for you?
I just can't see the screen behind, thank you. No, that's good, that's good. That helps, thank you.
Any clarifying questions for Mr. Smith? Okay. All right, seeing none, the suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the 2021-22 proposed budget and adopt the supporting resolutions as recommended. I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Motion by Burke, supported by Burton Kelsey. Any discussion?
Just the same conversation same comment Ms. Berry had before. We reviewed this in the finance committee and Josh sent it out to the board and, so, it's
Great.
great.
All right, seeing no other discussion, all in favor of approving the motion as recommended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Board, and thank you, Mr. Smith. Item number 4 is Bid Pack 1, Woodhaven High School athletic improvements. We are recommending the construction of a new varsity baseball and softball fields, a practice turf for soccer and marching band, and an expansion of the current parking lot at Woodhaven High School. On November 10th, 2020, the Board of Education approved the contract with GMB Architecture for design services for this project. And on May 10th, 2021, construction documents were formally issued and made available. And on May 27th and June 4th of 2021, sealed bid proposals were received and publicly opened. The recommendation for award includes a number of firms listed in the McCarthy and Smith award recommendation provided to the Board of Education. The total project award recommendation equals $7,311,700, which consists of a contract amount of $6,770,100 with a project contingency of $541,600. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the award of contracts as contained in the McCarthy and Smith award recommendation in amounts not to exceed $7,311,700 as recommended. I'll entertain a motion. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Harris, supported by Burton Kelsey. Any discussion?
I think it's important for our public to understand that we have reviewed this in detail, not only at a subcommittee level, facilities and operations, but also as a full board, we've reviewed this line by line. Mr. Belcher and the representatives that are here from those companies have taken a great deal of time, provided us with numerous amounts of information. So although we don't go through that in detail in the public, this board has spent a lot of time making sure that we are doing the right thing with the money that the community has awarded us.
And thanks to the team that walked us through that and spent all the time with us, and Mr. Belcher for always answering our questions.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the motion as recommended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item number 5 is approval of the contract extension with ABM Industries. We are recommending a 2-year contract extension for ABM Industries in providing custodial, maintenance, and grounds work for the school district. The contract recommendation has a 1-year cost of $1,738,750.93, which represents a 7.59% increase over our current year contract, to be allocated primarily for pay increases. Year 2 includes a consumer price index increase of 2.5%. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the 2-year contract extension with ABM Industries as recommended.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Support.
Motion by Harris, supported by Barry. Any discussion?
Also, just want to make sure that people understand that we do have communication with our buildings regarding the services that are provided. And to the best of my knowledge, everybody is confident and comfortable with this continuing option.
Thank you. Anything else?
Just that, I thought what was helpful, I think also was the wage study and the wage increases, trying to get them so competitive, so we're not having empty holes.
Anything else? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approving the recommendation as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
All right, thank you very much, and I also want to thank Ryan and Fran, our ABM leadership team, for being here this evening with us as well. Thank you. You too.
Thanks, guys.
Item number 6 is adoption of bond resolution approving the sale of bonds through Stiefel, Nicholas and Company. The sale of our first series of bonds totaling $40 million took place on June 11th, 2021, and was done so via board resolution adopted on May 11th, 2021. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education adopt the final bond resolution approving such sale of bonds through Stiefel, Nicholas and Company as recommended.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Harris, supported by Burke. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approving the recommendation as stated signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 7 is the purchase of desktop monitors for our elementary computer labs. This recommendation is a refresh of the desktop monitors within all 5 elementary school computer labs. The quote that we received included REMC pricing, which meets the bid requirements for the state of Michigan and board policy. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the purchase of 175 computer monitors to Intercom TSG for an amount not to exceed $24,150, utilizing 2016 bond monies.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Burton, supported by Harris. Any discussion?
Just not really on this, but Josh, if we could get just the number of computers, I know that were returned condition-wise, anything that, just 'cause I know a lot of them went out this year, just not now, but in our next board report or whatever, just to see, you know.
Yeah, we'll have it ready hopefully by the end of this week and in our next board report. Give you
All
an
right.
update.
And can I ask a question on this specifically? How does this play into the one-to-one technology that we're trying to go for? And how do we differentiate when to use a lab versus, just seems like desktop monitors are kind of obsolete.
In the elementary buildings, there's a curriculum that's really heavily used on a desktop PC over a Chromebook device, which is just a Google managed device. So going beyond just the Google Admin Council,
Okay.
those devices are really limited. So as we go through one-on-one, there might be some shifts that we make thinking about computer labs, but for the near future, they're going to be in place in our elementary buildings and modified, at the secondary buildings in quantities.
So it's really so the elementary students can access specific curriculum that you can't get on a Chromebook?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That helps.
Well, I also think, if I remember correctly, that part of this is we're downsizing our labs at the high school because we had so many that we aren't using. So this does not replace literally everything that was at the high school. This gets us up to date.
This one's just for the elementary school.
Oh, this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is the next one secondary?
Yep. No, you're good.
No worries. Ed?
Anything else? Okay, all in favor of approving the recommendation as stated signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. Item number 8 is the purchase of desktop computers and monitors for Patrick Henry Middle School and Woodhaven High School, a tech lab and a math science lab. This recommendation is a refresh of the desktop computers and monitors for 2 computer labs, one at Patrick Henry Middle School and one at Woodhaven High School. Again, the quote includes REMC pricing, which meets the bid requirements for the state of Michigan and board policy. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the purchase of 68 computers and monitors to Intercom TSG for an amount not to exceed $53,550, utilizing 2016 bond monies.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Harris, supported by Burke. Any discussion?
What I said previously.
Yeah, exactly. I can provide you an update of what myself and the administrators have looked at the secondary buildings and decided about the labs going forward. We are reducing some per building at long term.
Thank you. Anything else?
So Satterfield?
Yeah.
Sorry, Coach. So we use Google, obviously Chromebooks are more Google-based.
They're completely a Google
But
product, yeah.
obviously, that's not all the platforms we need to be educating our children.
Yeah,
Plus
especially,
Microsoft is so huge, I mean, so the desktops at the schools, do they have Microsoft? So
we have access to Microsoft for every single student if needed, web-based or on a PC. So we can do whatever is needed as the curriculum adjusts. Either way we go, but we are a Google district, but can provide Microsoft Suite.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approving the recommendation as stated signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you very much. Item number 9 is the purchase of Chromebook cases. During the school year, the Board of Education approved and allowed the district to purchase 2,000 Samsung Chromebooks, and those are being used at Brownstown Middle School and Patrick Henry Middle School. The hard shell cases are needed to protect that investment. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the purchase of 2,000 hard shell cases to iPearl Inc. for an amount not to exceed $29,974, utilizing 2016 bond monies.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Harris, supported by Burton. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approving the recommendation as stated signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you very much. Item number 10, approval of the WBEA collective bargaining agreement for 2021-22 through 2023-24. I'm pleased to report that through amicable and collaborative negotiations, we have reached tentative agreements with 3 of our bargaining units and fully anticipate the 4th tentative agreement very soon. We have 2 tentative agreements for recommendation to the Board of Education this evening. The first one, the suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the collective bargaining agreement with the Woodhaven Brownstown Education Association for 3 years, 2021-22, 2022-23, and 2023-24.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Burke, supported by Barry. Any discussion?
Just want to thank Mr. Greathead and all the negotiators on the union side. Being able to come to this agreement, I think it's great for our district, great for our teachers, great for our community. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I would say the same. Thanks.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor of approving the recommendation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 11 is approval of the WESPA collective bargaining agreement, 2021-22 through 2023-24. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the collective bargaining agreement with the Woodhaven Brownstown Educational Support Personnel Association for 3 years, 2021-22, 2022-23, and 2023-24, as recommended.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
Motion by, is it Barry?
Barry.
Barry, supported by Burton. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving the recommendation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would anticipate on July 13th, 2 more tentative agreements for board consideration. Item number 7, superintendent's report, the acceptance of the following resignations: Abigail Emerson, special services paraprofessional; Deborah Foster, special services tote administrative assistant; Scott Hoy as the varsity girls soccer coach; Chelsea English as a tote teacher; and Brian Sullivan as varsity hockey head coach. I'd like to also report to the board that we had a very smooth and successful closing to the 2020-21 school year. I'd like to thank the Board of Education for their support and direction during that time. I would put the educational program that the Woodhaven Brownstown School District was able to offer our students and the choices that we were able to offer our parents, I would put that program up against any in the state. Very proud of what we were able to accomplish. There was a lot of learning along the way, a lot of reaction on our part to be able to try to fill the gaps. numerous quarantines. I think some of the students in the room could attest to that. But we did our best to be able to meet their needs while still following the requirements that we were required to, but also doing our very best to meet their academic and social emotional needs. So thank you, Board of Education, for your support and direction on that. And I'm very pleased with the start to our summer offerings, and could not be prouder of the partnership that we've developed with the City of Woodhaven on the Parks and Recreation offerings, the initiatives being taken by our school leadership and our teachers, the booster programs through 6th through 12th grade, really give our students an opportunity at a self-paced program to really get a leg up on next school year, especially in ELA and math. So that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
your hard work.
Okay, next we have hearing of the public. This would be for any comments that were not, or any items either not on tonight's agenda. We'd ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes if possible. And I do have a few comment cards, but if there's anybody else that has come in and would like to speak, if you'd like to turn them in up front here, there are comment cards. I think they're by Mr. Belcher right up front. And I can start with, we have Jada Stewart, if you'd like to come up to the podium to speak. Sure, yeah, if you'd like to come up to the podium.
Mike, you pass that card up.
Yep.
So we were informed, good evening, everyone. We were informed earlier today that there's a possible vote or discussion about the employment of the continuation of our Woodhaven varsity cheer competitive coach, Tara Hazy. And there's a number of people here, I know we only have 5 minutes, that represent the integrity of her as a coach, and we'd like to have a little bit of discussion to the board if possible. I'm not sure if that's something that's gonna be discussed after we leave or is going to be an agenda item. But we'd like to have our thoughts heard. I'm a parent. There's a number of coaches here, as well as cheerleaders that are current, as well as that have already alumni. So I'll just start first with my thoughts. Let me grab my glasses here, sorry. Not as young as I used to be here. So as I mentioned, my name is Kathy Kasparic. My daughter just graduated here from the high school and has been a 4-year varsity cheerleader. I've been involved as a parent, as a team mom for the last approximately 3 years, although she's been in the program for over 4 years. During the past years, we've helped grow this team and this program to the school district and actually a Division I title. Making this regionals as well as to states this year. Phenomenal. We would have never thought that this cheer program would have ever gone this far. What does that take in order to accomplish this? Well, obviously a dedicated coaching staff and head coach. It has taken blood, sweat, and tears from all of the athletes and all of the coaches from a dedication standpoint. Anybody who has any athletes as children here, parents, children, they understand how much it takes to be on a team and a winning team. One of the things that's come to discussion has been the integrity of the coaching and the coaching style of Tara, and I'd like to just say a few things related to that. It takes a lot to earn a spot on a varsity team. It takes talent, it takes dedication, and it takes that in order to win a championship. My daughter was not given a spot on this team when she was on it for the past 4 years. She worked very hard and earned it every day. When she had an injury in her junior year, not because of cheer, but because of gym class, unfortunately, she fought back while others took her spot back on the team, and she wanted to compete. She had months of PT and rehab, but she wanted to make it back on that team, as she knew with the talent in the team would have to make it so far, as she knew that eventually this team had the talent to get to states. I'd like to just say a few things, like I said, about Coach Tara. I've known over the past 4 years, she has given all her dedication, all of her team that she calls the girls. These are her girls. These are, unfortunately, she's not a parent, but she looks at them as these are her children. Back in 2019 and 2021, like I mentioned, these guys were able to go to states and to regionals and finals. It's not something that you are just given. As a coach, she understands what is needed, the expectations, what you have to do as far as setting rules, how to run the program. You're not given a uniform, you're not given a spot on the team. You have to practice and you have to earn it every day. She knows what it takes to be a champion. While some people may not like her coaching style, she has made my daughter a strong leader. She has taught them her teamwork and what it takes to get through on a day-to-day basis. She has also made herself a very successful person, and I'm very proud of that. What I'd like to do is just also say a few comments that I've had from some of the other parents that have texted me, and then I'll turn it over to whoever else wants to speak. Bear with me here, please. This is from Sarah Ramey. She's a current team manager of the varsity hockey team. She was previously a team mom for the last 6 years at Woodhaven Cheer program. She would like to take this opportunity to speak on behalf of the program and the coaches that she has served with. This program has come a long way for the 6 years my daughter has been on it. Her 2019 school year is one of many that has held breaking school history marks. What our family has gained from this experience that the program has provided is that she has shown our daughter how to be a strong leader and an outspoken young woman, and to hold herself high with self-esteem. To make it to a varsity team, many people don't understand what it takes. It takes a lot of courage, drive, and discipline. The support you get from your community and the support you get from your team, which is now your family, is what makes these students better in life and everything they do. Sum of it up, as a leader in which you have to be a coach, has to guide them through to be a strong rock and to carry the burdens that you're not prepared for. We are a Division I school district and team, and the bar of expectations is set high, and you should be for every sport. These coaches understand that while we are ready to make a sacrifice of losses, they also know your kid will gain from what it takes to win. I personally have watched my daughter suffer through the complete whole season of losses her first year, and drive to support with her coach made to vow to make it a better team and a better season every year. If it was not for the love and success of her sisters on the cheer team, she would not have made this accomplishment that your daughters are now chasing. So I'll leave it up to that, but I just wanted to say a few words on that, and I think there's some also folks here that would also like to say a few words as well that are on these lists. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, and next we have Jada.
Hello, my name is Jada Stewart. My daughter will be an incoming senior on the team this year. She's been on the team since she was a freshman. And we're here because we heard that the program may be looking to go in a different direction, but I just wanted to give you some input before you make any final decisions on our experience with the program. We came from an all-star program. My daughter's been cheering since she was 3 years old, and that's tumbling and has been committed to the sport, because a lot of times people think cheer is a club when it's really a sport, and she's been committed to it since then. We joined this team coming from an all-star program, and we were terrified of the switch, because there's a big difference between doing high school and an all-star program. And Coach T is tough as nails. I'll be the first one to tell you the transition was not an easy one, and at some point we even thought about maybe going back to all-star. But my daughter, she would call, she would check on us as a family, because we are a family. That's why this room is packed. And check on her, check on her growth. You know, they do community service. She's not just creating an athlete, she's creating a well-rounded citizen, a good person. And without her, this program, I'm telling you, because we come from the All-Star program, we know just about a kid on every Division I team from Brighton on down the line, and we walk in there and we hold our heads up high and we compete with them because of Coach T. And she's taught these girls so much just to be better people and to feel good about themselves. And even if it's a tough practice, or even if you come down and you're not flying in your spot anymore, she doesn't make you feel bad about it. You know, she does a great job with these kids. And we were, excited about this season. We were getting ready to go into a parent meeting when we got, heard this, and it's just devastating to us as a cheer family, to these kids, and us as parents, because Coach T is, and I've been through a lot of coaches, believe you me, I've had some bad ones. Coach T is top of the line, and if we do go in another direction, someone will be very lucky to have her. But I hope that it's not at the sake of the Woodhaven cheer program, because she's building it, and it can be, any day now we're going to have it may not be this, I don't know if it's going to be this year, but at some point it'll be a state title out there under her direction, because that's the kind of program that she's building. And she's just fantastic, and she's good to these girls. She gives blood, sweat, and tears 5 days a week to these girls. They want to work hard because of her. And I just want you to know that she is building a great program here. So I don't know, because a lot of times sometimes a squeaky wheel, sometimes you may get the attention, but you don't never really hear how well of a program that she's running. But I want to be the first one to tell you, this is not my thing. I don't think I've watched the school board meeting, but I've never wanted to come. But I was driven by, the second I saw it, I had to be here just to say that, to get that off my chest. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you for
Stewart.
your comments. All right, next we have Destiny Warren. Hi, Destiny.
Hi. Okay. Just like she just said, hi everyone. My name is Destiny Warren, and I'm going into my sophomore year this year. And I would just like to say a few words about Coach T, Coach Tara. I have participated in a variation of Woodhaven sports for the past 3 years since 7th grade. And I can say that Coach T was the first coach that made the team that I was on feel like a family. It made me feel a part of something. And not just going to practice, going to games, but made me feel useful and really helped myself and probably a lot of other people on our teams. One, my mental health and my confidence as a person. And let me get back to my notes, sorry. And just showed me how I should act around other people, around coaches, around authority, just my peers in general. And every athlete that has been in the Woodhaven cheer program, she made feel loved and appreciated. From watching her coach and raise up the athletes above me, I wanted to be a part of the love and the care that she has for all of her girls. Since being last year, I was on JV for my freshman year, not on varsity, but even then, I still felt a part, and not like there was a separation. I still felt close to all the girls and still close to Coach T, even though she wasn't particularly my coach at the time. And being on the 2020, the competitive team this past year, Coach T definitely helped me grow as a person, especially since 2020 was rough for everyone since COVID and the lockdown and everything. But she set up Zooms and FaceTime calls to keep everyone in the loop and tried to make virtual practices work. And when she could have just given up on us and waited until we can come back in person, she didn't. She worked hard and she was determined to make sure that we were ready whenever the time was that we could come back and start. She truly has the heart of a warrior, which motivated me to try hard and be better and to achieve all the things that I have achieved so far. She truly helped me become a better citizen and a better person, and she truly bleeds purple, literally. I have never seen anyone put so much effort and time into something, and I'm so happy to say that I was a part of the team who showed the results of her hard work in 2021 at state finals. In all of this, I just wanted to say that I truly believe that every decision Coach T has made was out of the best interest of the team and truly did benefit the team in the end if it didn't seem like that from the start. Thank you.
Thank you, Destiny.
Thank you, Destiny.
Next I have Jennifer Johnson.
Hi, my name is Jen Johnson, and I have known Tara for 25 years. Sorry. When she called me to tell me this, she couldn't get the words out, much like myself right now. I coached her as an athlete. I've stood beside her as a coach for her entire coaching career. I've watched her. I coached here at Woodhaven for the junior high team many years ago. And when I quit coaching here, she came in, and the program that was then, compared to the program that is now, is amazing. Every single time we speak, it's about these girls, about goals, about what she needs to do for them. And last year was tough. COVID was tough. And did we make all the right decisions? No. But did anybody? So I want you guys to think about that and listening to these girls talk about their coach, because she truly is an amazing person. And if this were to be taken from her, it would be devastating to the program and to her as a person. To these girls, it breaks my heart to think about it. I just hope that you guys will take into consideration when you're making this judgment on whether for her to return or not, that you'll listen to what each of them have to say. And what myself as a co-coach with her is telling you now, that she truly is the best person for this. And although things are hard sometimes, we have to do what is best for all of them, not one single. So I'm going to let them speak for the rest, but thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next we have, is it Angelina or Angeli? Ross? Is that an I?
Hello, everyone. I'm Angelia Ross Collins. I am a former team mom of Woodhaven Cheer, and I still support them. I met Coach T, my baby, when she came, and she not only coached for varsity, but she coached for the junior high team. So she was doing dual roles, giving everything that she had to make two teams number one and put Woodhaven on the map. I've seen them go through the toughest of times and situations when we've lost a parent, a cheer parent, even on the way to a competition. But the thing that Coach T did is show grit and willpower and determination. She never gave up on any of the kids, even when they were broken and heartbroken, because they really deserved to get a win on some days. But she showed them that there is something about sportsmanship. So even when you lose with pride. And you go back on the mat the next time and you give them the best that you have to give, that you never give up on yourself. And I can speak proudly and firmly of that because she instilled that into my two daughters. One who fought through, well, both of them, ankle injuries during competitive cheer season, but how they had that willpower and determination to get back there on that mat with their team came from their coach, instilling in them that you never give up the fight, that you always try to be the best person that you can be. I grew to love Coach T like a daughter, and she called me Mama Ange. And yes, we've been here many places and many times with people trying to get rid of her because they just didn't get their way. And that's unfair to a person that gives their heart and soul to a program. So to get rid of Coach T would not only be devastating for the girls, but it would be devastating for Woodhaven High School, because she put Woodhaven High School on the map for cheer, because they didn't respect those girls when they walked into a building. The way they talked down to Woodhaven, that right there was despicable. But she taught them to hold their head up high, to still show sportsmanship and still go and prove that Woodhaven would be the best one day. If not today, we're going to get there. And this year, you got to state finals. And it was because of those girls right there that fought hard and the coach that led them. So to get rid of her, my God, my girls have been gone 2 years. But I still support because of her love for this team. I get up on Saturdays mornings like my 2 girls are still cheering because it's a fire that she puts in them that I still love to see. It's a unison of team that she puts in them that I still love to see. I love to see how she teaches them to go out there and do community service and serve with all their heart. I love the way she teaches them to self-love. I love the way that she teaches them to have integrity. I love the way she teaches them to respect each other and everyone around them. So I don't know how we got to this place. I really don't. I don't know what's been said, what's been done, or who's upset, but I can't see how someone would just be that angry because one child didn't make the team to destroy everything that's been built over the past few years. I was all the way in Novi, and I got the call, and I'm like, I gotta be there. I got to be there for her because she deserves more than what's on the table right now. And to take this from not just her, but the school district would be a devastation. But whoever get her, my God, they'll have a champion on their belt. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, and Tammy Marcus?
Hi, thank you for hearing me. It's a tough act to follow. I'm a new cheer mom. I work at a local hospital. I'm over volunteer services. I've had a lot of Woodhaven High School students volunteer for me. I've had some kids from baseball, football, wrestling, crying in my office because they were on varsity and they didn't make it their senior year. I'm not sure what's going on with cheer. My daughter will tell you. Sorry. I didn't want her to be a cheerleader because it's dangerous. But I can tell you, I allowed her to do it because of Tara. I saw that she took safety first. When those girls are 12 feet in the air, my heart drops. I'm scared because I know what it's like in the ER when one of those kids come in. It's bad, but she cares about them. She puts safety first, and if we lose her, it's a tragedy.
Thank you.
Tammy.
Okay, Jill.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Jill Cassidy. I had two daughters in the program. One graduated in 2019, and one is a current senior. I've just never met a more amazing coach. She has definitely just instilled discipline, teamwork, respect. She has just always been there for the girls. They are her daughters. She has always put them first, their safety, whatever they need, and just instilled passion and drive and just doing your best and, striving every day to be better. I've definitely seen the program grow. She's been the coach for 10 years, and it's not always been easy, but I've definitely seen it grown, and my daughters have been dedicated through injuries, through death, through anything that has come along. She has always been there and has done anything for these girls. And she's been an amazing coach for my girls. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak before we? Okay, come on up.
Hi, my name is Marla Matitall. I just recently graduated, and at first I was kind of nervous to talk, but here I am. I just have a lot to say, but not a lot of time, so sorry. Okay, so beginning, I would say sideline year, my senior year.
Take your time, take your time.
You're good, Marla.
I got my senior year taken away